Yeah, yeah. Hello all. My name is Balaji, and I'm currently playing the role of an executive coach and a leadership agile mentor. Okay. So in this particular recording, I just thought to make a presentation on a SAFe. Like most probably you might be knowing that we have one of the framework called a SAFe. So in this particular recording, I just thought to share my 5.5 years to 6 years real-time experience, like in terms of implementing the SAFe. Okay, so just to begin the journey to reinforce our basic fundamental concepts on the SAFe, let me quickly toggle to this particular screen. So as we all know, right, this is the diagram given by the scaled agile framework.com, wherein you can see the SAFe. So SAFe stands for Scaled Agile Framework, as we all know. Now the point here is that if you look into this particular diagram, lot of entities are there and a lot of icons are actually there. Just to begin the journey, both from a learning point of view and also from a real-time SAFe implementation point of view, it is always better if you start with the essential SAFe. Don't start with a large solution SAFe or a portfolio SAFe, and it is not practically not possible to go to a portfolio SAFe for go to a portfolio SAFe or a full SAFe directly also. So one need to start with the basics of the essential SAFe. So essential SAFe is the basic construct given. So if you take the earlier versions of SAFe, right, when we had SAFe 4, we actually used to have a team level and a program layer. And then later they have actually combined both the things into something called a essential SAFe. Now, one of the best way to learn a concept is that you go from the known region to the unknown region. Okay, so what I know in this, do I have a solid grip on those concepts? And then slightly I will try to shift the gear from the known region to the unknown region. So from that perspective, if you look into this particular diagram, okay, at a team level, I have the Scrum, I have the Kanban, all those things. But if I wanted to have team level, then probably I may need one more person called RTE. So how you need to read it? The point is, let me make it very clear. The intent of this particular video is actually to help you how to learn this particular SAFe within a shorter span of time, and also to share my real-time experience of a SAFe. Okay, so if you see this slide, this is how, one second, let me drag it because it may come on the way. All right. Okay. So here, if you see this particular slide, this is actually one of the way I had implemented SAFe. Okay. So you need to customize it. You need to tailor make it. But only one concept need to be kept in mind is, in the name of customization and tailor making, we should not dilute the principles of the SAFe. Okay. So before I explain this particular slide, let us spend some time on focusing on the basics of the SAFe as it is given from this portal, this particular portal. And then what I'll do is, I will actually take you to my customized SAFe journey. Okay, now how you need to read this is, see, we have an icon called as Scrum Master. So you may need to combine and then read it. For example, here you have a Scrum Master, RTE at a program layer, STE at a solution layer. So when you read these three roles vertically aligned in a combined manner, you are actually getting an integrated knowledge. So what does a person called Scrum Master does at a team level, a person called RTE, who is the chief Scrum Master, is going to do at a program layer. Okay, and a person called STE, who is going to do a similar kind of work at a solution level. And similarly, along the similar line of thought, read on the product owner, then the product management, then the solution management, then the epic owner. So if you read all these four things together, you are not only creating a vertical alignment right from the user story to the portfolio level, but you are also getting an integrated knowledge on that, on that piece of activity. Okay, so what I meant by the piece of activity is, one is on the product space of agility, product owner, product management, solution management, epic owner, done. Then next is on the process mechanism. I have my Scrum Master, I have my RTE and the STE. Then if you actually talk from an architecture point of view, I have my system architect at a program level and have my solution architect at a solution layer, and I have my enterprise architect at a portfolio level. Along the similar line of thought, read on the team level backlog, program layer backlog, solution backlog, okay, and then the portfolio backlog. See, all are fundamentally backlogs, but what you put inside the backlog is going to define the backlog, right? If I take a water bottle, if I take a plastic bottle and if I pour water, then the bottle holds the water. If I pour some juice inside, then the bottle holds the juice. Same concept here. Team backlog is going to contain user stories. Program backlog is going to contain features. My solution backlog is going to contain capabilities. My portfolio backlog is going to contain epics. So what is the ingredient of the backlog? Based on the thing only, we are defining the name of the backlog. Since it contains epic, I am trying to position it at a portfolio level, and it is called a portfolio backlog. Since it contains the capabilities, I am positioning it at a solution layer, so it is called a solution backlog, so on and so forth. So sometime 5 years back or 5.5 years back, when I was trying to learn SAFe, and then trying to get a grip on the SAFe, I used to take a color printout of this particular image of this SAFe, and then paste it on the room of my wall. Wall of my room. So what I used to do is, every time when I come in and when I go out, I just used to spend time by looking into that particular diagram. Because see, sometimes we may need to find out avenues of possibilities to learn. It is not that always when I sit in front of a laptop only the learning happens. So when I actually go for a long drive, I used to play some educational videos or CDs on my car, and then just and then just listen to those particular things and then continue that journey. So let's say if I'm actually traveling on a long drive for 6 to 7 hours, then I will be taking some personality development CDs or some kind of a time management or some kind of a podcast or something so that travel time has been spent in a productive manner. So what works for me need not actually work out for you. So you need to find out what are the avenues of possibilities wherein I can continue to learn. And one more thing, learning is not always confined only to an office space or only when I sit in front of a laptop. So once you observe the concepts, maybe when you are going for a walk, you can actually churn the concepts in your mind. Okay. So when I was very new to SAFe, somewhere 6 years back, at that time, what I used to do is, I have taken this particular printout and then I will be pasting it on the wall. So every time when I come and go, I used to look at the framework, and the framework got imbibed within me. The second thing is, I used to read it icon by icon. Say for example, if I'm taking the essential SAFe, then what are all the icons in it? First, you need to know the independent building blocks, and later comes the point of connecting the dots, and later comes the point of implementing it hands-on. Then comes the level of handling the challenges. In terms of handling the challenges effectively. Okay, so one of the point what I wanted to say is, many of my the mentees who actually come for the Agile mentorship program to me, at the soon after they joined the mentorship program, they actually used to tell me, Balaji sir, like we need to have a hands-on experience on SAFe. We need to have a practical implementation of a Kanban. I used to ask them, yes, having the vision, having the desire that you need to have a practical hands-on grip is actually perfectly fine. But do you know the basic concepts? Do you know the building blocks of SAFe? Do you know the building blocks of a Kanban framework? And do you know the processes or policies? So unless and until you know the building blocks and unless and until you are very strong at a conceptual framework, then how you can jump to a point of directly implementing a framework? So spend some time on understanding the framework and then connecting the dots right from the team layer to the portfolio layer. And then actually think about, okay, if I'm going to implement this framework in my landscape, from where do I need to begin the journey? Because I cannot take a framework and then force fit it into the ecosystem. And then believe me, this is one of the reasons why agile transformation fails in a majority of the companies, because someone decided that a SAFe will be working out for us. Okay, I never denied the reason behind it. But is the reason been communicated to all the team members? Why are we using SAFe? Why am I using Squad? Why am I using a Spotify model? People need to know, why am I doing, what am I doing? If there is no clarity on the why and the what part, then comes the challenge on the how part. Okay, now just to stay focused to this particular subject. Now the point is that once you started getting a grip on these particular backlogs and these particular actors, right? If I take this as a use case, then the Scrum Master, the RTE, STE, Epic Owner, Solution Management Group, all these are the actors. Now what we need to know, first, either you start with the actors, try to understand the vertical alignment, or you start understanding the backlogs. So once you get a grip on the backlog, once you get a grip on the actors, you are almost done with the vertical alignment. Now actually comes the thing, how am I going to scale it horizontally? Fine. In terms of horizontally, if you want to expand, then for that only, we do have a concept called a program increment of planning. Program increment planning is a bigger container planning, right? For example, instead of planning for one team for a single sprint or a couple of sprints, I am going to plan for 4 or 5 teams within a single program, and it is a bigger container planning. Let's say if I take a program increment as a 8 to 12 weeks, and let's say typically I follow 10 weeks sprint. Okay, means 10 weeks of program increment. So within that, if I have 2 weeks sprint or iteration, 2 into 5, 10. So 4 sprints attributed to the business centric, and 1 sprint is the innovation and the planning one. Okay, now the point is, in terms of the readiness of the program increment, we also need to focus on the program level cadences. Many of the team level ceremonies doesn't give you the value because people are not doing enough justice to the program level cadences, and followed by the portfolio level cadences. See, the point is simple. Okay, I will just take a whiteboard and then I'll try to elucidate it. Just a minute, please. All right. Okay, so this is something what I wanted to say. For example, this particular black color thing is a portfolio level cadences. Epic and sub-epic cleanup, mapping my epic to the investment, mapping my epics to the investment themes. If I take this blue color thing, you can consider it as a program level cadences. Say, for example, product owner sync up, product manager sync up, feature backlog refinement, ART sync up. Then if you take your team level ceremonies, it is product backlog refinement, my sprint planning, daily stand-up meeting, sprint review, demo, retrospective. Now the problem is, if I'm not cleaning up my epic and sub-epic on a periodic basis, if my product management group is not spending time to create visibility on the horizon, Then by the time the epic is getting created, by the time it is getting broken down into feature, and by the time it reaches the team level, the guys are waiting for the creating visibility on the horizon, and they cannot pick up the work readily. So instead of doing the work, the guys are planning the, okay, instead of doing the work, the time is spent on planning the work. So see, the point is this: when we say shift left approach, I don't think shift left is only doing testing at the, only introducing testing at the beginning through TDD, BDD. Shift left at a mindset level means, am I creating visibility on my epics and the sub-epics periodically? Sub-epic is a term which comes from the rally. Okay, so I tend to use it. Am I creating visibility on the features continuously? Unless and until I am creating visibility on the epic and the sub-epic on the features continuously, how I can create visibility to the team level user stories? So one of the way to make a transformation successful, or to make a safe implementation successful, or even for your normal scrum team to be successful, your product owner should continuously work on creating visibility on the horizon. Okay, so now one of the anti-pattern or a myth what I have seen in the industry is, people say, hey, we are implementing agile, we will do it on the go. Absolutely no. Agile never says you should not do planning. Agile says, hey, do planning. In fact, if you go to Onion model of planning agile on the Google, they have given 5 levels of planning: day-wise planning, sprint-wise planning, program increment, release level, then a roadmap, strategy, business account level. Okay, so a kind of a 5 layers of planning. Okay, so the fundamental point is, Agile never says don't do planning. All it says is keep the plan flexible to embrace the change on the go. Because if you don't keep the plan flexible, then how you can add a business value to the market? Because market is always a moving target, right? Whether we like it or not, market is always a moving target, and the priorities will keep on changing. So how am I going to sync it up with the market rhythm is the thing. So in fact, I still say Agile demands a lot of planning, because at least if I plan these things only, when any kind of an ad hoc request comes, I can have a better grip. Okay, so that is one part of the thing. That is why whenever I do an agile transformation, I always tend to create something called a outcome-based plan to do an agile transformation. In that I mentioned, maintain a 3 months rolling wave backlog. See, the point is simple. Me as an agile coach, I don't wanted my scrum master and the team to think on what to do. What to do should come from the product owner, because product owner is the business value maximizer. Product owner is the internal customer, or rather an internal voice of the customer. So it is the responsibility of the product owner or the product management group at an appropriate level. Because if you are trying to talk at a product line at a product group level, you may have a centralized product management group. It is the responsibility of the product owner and the product management group to create visibility on the product roadmap. So I wanted my team and the Scrum Master to focus on, hey, having been said, this is the priority, what we can do in terms of resolving the impediment and in terms of getting the things done. Okay, of course, if the team has more knowledge on the domain and the functional aspects of the product or the project, yes, certainly, yes. Basically, the team and the Scrum Master can definitely give some pointers to the product owner. But the ownership and the accountability lies with the product owner to create a visibility. Okay, so once you are done with these particular actors, once you are done with the backlog, then you can get into the PI objective. You can try to understand the PI planning, and then you can get into the dimensions and the competencies one by one. Okay, so I do not suggest any hard and fast rule that you need to read this first, you need to read that later. Whatever makes utmost relevance to you, go ahead and then pick it up. Now, let us talk a little bit of practical, because this particular website is there. Everyone knows that you can go here and then see. But how will I implement it? Okay, so from one of my experience, because I have done almost till date, if you take out of my 5.5 years of experience only in the safe, I think I have almost done some 9 to 10 large scale transformations using safe. Now, out of that, in one of the engagement, what I can say is that you can do something like this. See, for example, in that particular engagement, what had happened is they had a preliminary safe or a kind of basic safe. I have been called as an executive or a leadership coach to strategize the safe implementation to bring in more business agility. So we started. See, the point is, I do not coach the scrum masters and the product owners. I coach the agile coaches. Then in turn, the coaches will go and then talk to the scrum masters and the product owners. Okay, so for example, if you take like this, I actually started doing a baseline assessment for a 6 art. When I say art, it is a team of team. Within a 1 art, I can have even 4 or 5. I can have even 4 or 5 teams, depending upon the team size and the composition. So what we did is we started doing a baseline assessment for the art to know the pain points and to identify the quick wins. Then we started focusing on improving the system, and then we started improving on the DevOps culture, and then we went up to the level of production deployment on an autopilot mode. Now, why I actually did this? I have done in this manner because for that ecosystem, when I spoke to the SVP and the AVPs of the client side, they are pretty much comfortable with this particular plan. So given the context change, I will be coming up with some other plan. Okay, now, for example, you might be seeing something called a FL here. FL stands for feedback loops. I started creating feedback loops all along the journey. And all other things are a simple English, which you can understand just by reading. Now the point is, like this, you should be able to create your own implementation roadmap. Okay, because this particular diagram, of course, like this particular diagram, and here too, you have a kind of an implementation roadmap, which I never deny. SAFe gives an implementation roadmap saying that, hey guys, you can take these things. 1 second, please. All right, so you can actually train your change agents, train your managers, leaders, identify the value stream, then you prepare for our train the teams. This is fine, but I cannot directly take and then fit it into my own my own ecosystem, right? Because if I need to do all these trainings or all these certifications, if I need to really follow each and everything, practically speaking, the revenue margins may go for a negative. Because see, let us think practically. This particular thing has a purpose, which I never deny. But if I ideally need to go by implementing each and every training, then much of my cost will be cost and time will be spent for doing all these certifications for all the team members or at an appropriate layer. Yes, you can still take some of the training modules, which I never deny and I fully support, but you need to create your own contextual implementation plan, something like this. What I have shown is just an example for people to get a feel. Based upon your own ecosystem, create an implementation plan, and more important is, instead of using the word create, it is better to use the word co-create a plan. When you are creating a plan, work with your product owners. You can actually work with the RTEs to actually know the pain points in the system, and then try to co-create a safe implementation plan. And all along the journey, if you are having a SPCs or a change agents, you can actually get their support in terms of a template creation and in terms of effectively planning for a PI planning, and doing some system demo, collaborating with the release management team, all those aspects, because what you do exactly is still driven by the context. However, we have some commonality patterns. So in this particular video, I just thought to tell, okay, these are all the basic things which you can keep in mind, and then you can sail through the journey. Maybe in my further videos, I can make specific topics on a PI planning or specific topics on art sync up meeting, which we can collaborate later. And if you have any challenges in terms of implementing SAFe, you can just reach out to me. I will give my WhatsApp number in the description of this video. Since I have hands-on experience for SAFe for more than 5.5 years, I think I can possibly help you in this particular journey. And I also support some of the SAFe certifications since I have an SPC license. Maybe you can connect with me if you are interested. Okay. Okay. Cheers. Bye.